Before the banks collapsed, before trust died, a silent rebellion began, not with guns, but with code. No flags, no leaders, no borders, just an idea that money could exist without masters. In 2009, while the world was drowning in debt, a name appeared on an obscure mailing list, Satoshi Nakamoto. No one knew who he was, or if he was even real. But his creation would ignite the most profound financial revolution since the birth of banking itself. A currency with no country. A system with no sovereign. Bitcoin, a stateless currency in a lawless world. The year was 2008. Banks that once ruled the global economy were collapsing under the weight of their own greed. Governments printed trillions overnight, and the people watched as their savings evaporated. In a single decade, trust, the foundation of money, had been shattered. Then came the Genesis block. Embedded within it, a message. The Times, 03 Jan, 2009. Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. It wasn't just a timestamp, it was a declaration. Bitcoin was born as a protest against corruption, against inflation, against a system where failure was rewarded and the innocent paid the price. But the genius of Bitcoin wasn't just ideological, it was architectural. No central bank, no government decree, just math, a public ledger that anyone could verify, yet no one could alter. A new kind of truth, digital, decentralized, incorruptible. For the first time in modern history, money didn't need permission. It didn't ask for identity. It didn't care who you were, where you lived, or what your government thought of you. In a world built on trust, Bitcoin demanded none. That's what made it dangerous, and that's what made it powerful. As Bitcoin spread through online forums and dark corners of the internet, it attracted outlaws and idealists alike. Hackers, libertarians, dreamers. To some, it was digital gold, a hedge against tyranny. To others, it was the perfect tool for evasion. By 2013, Bitcoin had gone from a nerd's experiment to a billion-dollar economy. Governments panicked. Regulators scrambled to define it. Was it a currency, a commodity, a threat? The answer was all three. While central banks could freeze accounts, Bitcoin couldn't be stopped. While politicians debated monetary policy, Bitcoin mined block after block, indifferent to power, immune to persuasion. But here's the paradox. The more Bitcoin tried to escape the system, the more the system tried to own it. Banks that once mocked it began investing in blockchain. Corporations that ignored it began holding it on their balance sheets. Even governments, the very institutions Bitcoin sought to defy, began studying how to weaponize it. What started as a rebellion was becoming infrastructure. The revolution was being absorbed. To understand Bitcoin's true place in history, you must understand the world it was born into, a world without anchors. After 1971, when Nixon cut the dollar's tie to gold, money became an idea backed only by confidence. A lawless world of floating currencies, manipulated markets, and invisible empires of debt. In that vacuum, power shifted, from gold reserves to data servers, from vaults to algorithms. Money became code long before Bitcoin appeared. But Bitcoin exposed the truth. The modern system isn't stable, it's engineered. Every rate, every bailout, every stimulus, a choice made by someone, somewhere, in the name of stability. Bitcoin replaced that faith with code, predictable, finite, transparent. 21 million coins, no exceptions, no rescues, no second chances. For believers, it was freedom. For critics, it was anarchy. But here's the irony. Bitcoin's dream of independence revealed just how interdependent the world had become. Because while Bitcoin ignores borders, governments don't. And while Bitcoin doesn't care who holds it, power does. Today, over 70% of Bitcoin's mining power lies in a handful of countries. A network built to be stateless now bends to geopolitics, electricity prices, chip supply chains, and corporate interests. Even the idea of decentralization itself has become concentrated in exchanges, custodians, and funds. The stateless currency was never supposed to have kings, but the new kings wear hoodies, not crowns.
By the 2020s, Bitcoin was no longer an outsider. It was a market worth over $1 trillion. Wall Street built futures around it. Governments taxed it. El Salvador made it legal tender. The very institutions Bitcoin sought to escape were now its biggest stakeholders. And the paradox deepened. Every time a nation banned it, another quietly bought it. Every time a regulator tried to define it, Bitcoin redefined itself. In a world drowning in fiat, Bitcoin became the new gold, but without borders, without vaults, and without mercy. Yet the dream that Bitcoin would make us free began to fade. Because true freedom isn't just separation from power, it's insulation from corruption. And Bitcoin, too, was learning that power corrupts in every language. As the blockchain grew, surveillance grew with it. Every transaction permanent, every movement traceable. The anonymity that once protected users now exposes them. Bitcoin didn't destroy the system, it taught the system how to evolve. Central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, programmable money, are the ultimate echo of Bitcoin's design. But unlike Bitcoin, they won't liberate. They'll observe, restrict, and command. The rebellion became the blueprint for control. Bitcoin's greatest achievement isn't wealth, it's revelation. It forced the world to ask a question most people never considered. What is money, and who should control it? Every empire in history has fallen for the same reason. They believed they could print trust. Rome debased its coins. France inflated its assign yachts. Modern nations print debt. Bitcoin, in contrast, refuses to bend. It is brutally honest, unchangeable, unforgiving, unyielding. But honesty is costly. If your private keys are lost, your wealth vanishes forever. If your network fails, no government will save you. Freedom, it turns out, is a burden. And most people don't want it. They want convenience dressed as liberty. That's why banks still thrive, why fiat still rules, why people trade sovereignty for simplicity. Bitcoin exposed the truth, but the truth was uncomfortable. The problem was never just the system, it was us. So here we are, a decade and a half later. Governments fear Bitcoin, but imitate it. Banks reject it, but invest in it. People worship it, yet misunderstand it. Bitcoin is no longer a rebellion. It's a mirror, a reflection of our collective desire to escape control, even as we build new cages of our own design. It is stateless, yet shaped by states. It is lawless, yet bound by laws of code. It is free, yet owned. And that's the paradox of our age. Freedom without guidance becomes chaos, and order without freedom becomes tyranny. Bitcoin lives in the tension between the two, a child of crisis, a symbol of defiance, and perhaps a prophecy of what comes next. Because maybe Bitcoin isn't the end of the system. Maybe it's the beginning of a new one not built on trust or authority, but on proof. A fragile idea that power can be decentralized, and that truth can exist without permission. But ideas, like currencies, are only as strong as the people who believe in them. And so, the question remains, can a stateless currency survive in a lawless world, or will it too be conquered by the very forces it tried to escape. When money stops belonging to nations, it starts belonging to the bold. And in the silence between chaos and control, Bitcoin keeps running, block by block, forever neutral, forever watching. If this gave you a new perspective, hit subscribe, because history isn't repeating, it's upgrading, and the code has only just begun to write the future.